Number 1. The cheetah. Nothing on 4 legs outruns the cheetah. At full stretch, this big cat hits 75 miles, or 120 kilometers an hour, though it can only hold that pace for about 500 meters before its body gives out. Everything about the cheetah is built around that one number. The lightweight frame, the small head, the impossibly long legs. As it runs, its spine flexes like a loaded spring, snapping the legs forward and stretching its stride to 25 feet at a time. Even its claws, which never fully retract, work like a sprinter's cleats, biting into the ground for traction. For decades, the textbook explanation for that 500-meter limit was overheating, but researchers studying wild cheetahs found their body temperature barely rises during a chase. The real limit may simply be muscle fatigue. The same fast twitch fibers that make the sprint possible also burning out fast. That trade-off shows up in the numbers too. Cheetahs win fewer than half of their chases because a missed angle or a prey animal that reaches cover before the cheetah closes the gap is often enough to end the hunt entirely. In a landscape ruled by bigger, stronger predators, speed isn't the cheetah's advantage. It's its only one. It doesn't fight for territory. It runs, eats, and lives to run again. Number 2. The springbok. A jump that breaks a predator's rhythm is sometimes worth more than a few extra miles an hour. That's the bet the springbok makes every time a lion gets close. This mid-sized gazelle from southwestern Africa can clear leaps of up to 13 feet or 4 meters in a single bound, on top of a flat-out run of 62 miles or 100 kilometers an hour. Lions, who count springbok among their favorite prey, hunt by reading a target's movement and timing their final lunge to it. A sudden vertical leap throws that timing off entirely, forcing the lion to recalculate mid-chase. And in a hunt measured in fractions of a second, that's often the whole difference between an escape and a kill. Springbok don't only leap when a predator is already closing in either. Herds will repeatedly bound straight up with stiff legs and an arched back, a display some researchers think advertises fitness to predators scouting for an easy target, essentially signaling that this particular animal isn't worth the chase. Number 3. The pronghorn. Across the entire Western Hemisphere, nothing on land beats the pronghorn antelope. Cushioned hooves absorb the shock of each stride. Oversized lungs pull in extra oxygen to fuel the sprint. Together, those adaptations let pronghorns hit 55 miles, or 88 kilometers an hour, though they can't hold that pace for more than about half a mile. All that speed comes with a blind spot, though. Pronghorns evolved on open, obstacle-free plains, where the only real defense ever needed was a flat-out run, so nothing in their design ever had to account for jumping. That's why when a pronghorn meets a rancher's fence, it doesn't leap over. It drops to the ground and crawls underneath. It's also worth asking why a pronghorn needs to be this fast at all, since nothing alive in North America today can outrun it. The likely answer is the American cheetah, a long-extinct predator that hunted pronghorns for thousands of years before vanishing around the end of the last ice age. The prey, it seems, never got the memo that the predator was gone. Number 4. The wildebeest. Here's where the chase gets personal. Wildebeest, the large hooved grazers of the African plains, rely on raw speed to escape their single greatest threat, the lion. The problem is, a wildebeest's top speed, about 50 miles or 80 kilometers an hour, is exactly the same as a lion's, so the chase is rarely decided by legs alone. Wildebeest travel in massive herds for exactly this reason. More eyes to spot a stalking lion early, and more bodies between any one animal and the predator's final lunge. They also rarely run in a straight line, weaving and changing direction mid-sprint in a way that costs the wildebeest very little speed, but forces a pursuing lion to constantly recalculate its angle of attack. For the wildebeest, survival comes down to numbers, timing, and unpredictability, not raw speed. Number 5. The lion. Lions are the second largest cats on Earth, behind only the tiger, and the second fastest in their own family, capable of reaching 50 miles or 80 kilometers an hour. That speed comes with a catch. A lion can only hold it for a few seconds before exhaustion sets in. That's why a lion rarely relies on a flat-out chase. Instead, it creeps low and silent, using tall grass and darkness to close the distance before its prey even knows it's there. Lionesses, who do most of the hunting, often work in pairs or small groups, with one driving the herd toward others lying in wait. Once the sprint actually starts, the lion is racing its own stamina as much as its prey. Even on a clean run, the math is unforgiving. Most lion hunts fail, and the ones that succeed tend to target young, old, or injured animals rather than a healthy adult at full speed. Number 6. The Blackbuck antelope. Long, slender legs built for sustained running, not explosive bursts, are what let the blackbuck hold its top speed of 50 miles or 80 kilometers an hour for about a mile before tiring. That makes the blackbuck the most efficient runner of the 3 animals tied at this speed on this list. The wildebeest and the lion both reach the same 50 miles an hour, but neither can sustain it nearly as long, which means in a straight, prolonged race, the blackbuck would be the last one standing, even though it isn't the most explosive starter of the 3. Native to India, the blackbuck also takes its name from the males, or bucks, whose coats darken with age. Young males and females stay a light sandy brown. The older the buck, the blacker it becomes. Number 7. The brown hare. 20 meters. That's all the brown hare needs to hit its top speed of 47 miles, or 75 kilometers an hour, and all it can sustain before backing off. Found across Africa, India, and Arabia, and sometimes called the Cape hare, this animal isn't built for a marathon. Its hind legs are disproportionately long and muscular compared to the rest of its body, designed to fire off one explosive burst rather than hold a pace. That trade-off works because a brown hare's main defense isn't outrunning a predator over distance, it's closing the gap to cover, a burrow or thick brush, before the predator can close the gap to the hare. Unlike rabbits, brown hares don't actually live in burrows themselves. They rest in shallow surface depressions called scrapes, which means that 20-meter burst usually has to carry them to whatever cover happens to be nearby, not to a den built in advance. Number 8. The greyhound. A greyhound doesn't hunt by smell the way a bloodhound does, it hunts by sight, tracking a moving target with its eyes. The instant it spots one, it commits fully to the chase, a method that demands a completely different kind of body. That body is the fastest of any dog breed on Earth, capable of 46 miles or 74 kilometers an hour, the product of an unusually flexible spine, a deep chest built for oxygen capacity, and a long, narrow frame with almost no excess weight. Humans noticed this potential thousands of years ago, which is why greyhounds have been bred and raced longer than almost any other dog breed in history. Ancient Egyptian art shows dogs with this same lean, long-legged build alongside pharaohs, which is part of why some historians consider the greyhound one of the oldest identifiable dog breeds still around today. Number 9. The jackrabbit. Being fast is one defense. Being unpredictable is another. And the jackrabbit leans on both at once. Native to the western United States, this wild hare combines sharp zigzags with leaps of up to 20 feet, or 6 meters, in a single bound. The kind of erratic movement that makes it almost impossible for a predator to commit to a clean angle of attack. At a flat-out sprint, it can still reach 45 miles, or 72 kilometers, an hour. But most of that speed is really a backup plan. The zigzags do the heavy lifting early in an encounter, and the straight-line sprint only matters once a predator has already committed to the chase. Number 10. The ostrich. Rounding out the list is the only bird fast enough to make this countdown, and the only animal on it that can't fly at all. The ostrich, the largest and heaviest bird alive, gave up flight somewhere in its evolutionary past in exchange for size and strength, and running became its substitute. Powerful legs carry it at speeds of 44 miles or 70 kilometers an hour. And unlike most animals on this list, the ostrich doesn't only use that speed to flee. When cornered, it plants itself and fights, delivering kicks strong enough to seriously injure or even kill a predator that gets too close. Each leg ends in just 2 toes, an unusual setup among birds that actually helps at speed, reducing the surface area touching the ground with every stride, the same way a sprinter's narrow shoe does.